afternoon, Gabi. So, kumusta ba sa amin? Wala kaming internet ngayon, pero yan, sana lumaban ang aming data. How about
Yes,
you?
yes, it's bright and sunny naman where I'm from. I hope na most of us are experiencing good weather this afternoon. And of course, we'd like to know each and every one of you. So can you kindly share us in the chat box where you are calling from or from what organization you are? And nakikita natin na umuulan na ulit ng good afternoons dito sa ating chat box. So thank you for joining us even if it's on a Thursday. And you really made it a habit na, di ba? Usually yung second to fourth week of the month, that's when we do our free webinars. Ayan. So Joyce, maybe we can read some of the responses in the chat box. Si KR, ang ganda nung hashtag niya, hashtag optimistic October 2022 with positive workplaces. Hi KR, thank you for that.
Ayan, so sabi naman ni Roman, good afternoon from Mandaluyong. And then Ava naman, good afternoon from QC. Ayan, Gabi, magkalapit kayo.
Oo nga, baka dito ka rin lang.
Yeah, and ito, sabi ni Jaynel, good afternoon from Palau, Micronesia. Wow.
Saan yun?
I have no idea, Gabi.
But hello Jainel. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Si Ann din from Zamboanga is here with us this afternoon.
Ayan, si ano naman, Elvira from Lawag City, Ilocos Norte. So from north to south talaga tayo, Gabi.
Oo, talagang dumadami yung number of provinces na nakakasama sa atin in our free webinars. And we really love that because we love sharing what we have learned in positive psychology, leadership, and organizational development with you guys. So kung meron pa kayong mga colleagues or friends who want to join us this afternoon, you can tell them to log in our Zoom room. I think we can share the meeting details again in the chat box para pwede pa silang pumasok. Kasi remember, yung mga nasa loob lang ng meeting room natin, yung mabibigyan ng evaluation form so that you can get your certificates. Joyce, ako may interested akong malaman. Sino sa inyo ang nagfa-follow na ng Facebook page namin? Okay, so hindi lang kami through free webinars nagbibigay ng content on those topics that I mentioned, but we also give you different types of posts that can help you in your work. Diba? Develop your work, develop you kahit pa sa personal life mo. So we'd like to invite everyone to join us on Facebook. So Joyce will be sharing with us the link to our Facebook page. And then you can just click follow or like.
Is there a name?
Ayan. And ang daming nagmimi sa chat box. Gabi.
Yes!
Grabe. So, thank you po sa pag-follow niya sa Facebook. So, yung mga hindi pa po nagpa-follow, you can follow us on Facebook.
Yes, definitely. Dahil Joyce, di ba, meron tayong something brewing for them by the end of the year. And if you want to know what that is, you better follow our social media pages. So yan, I think we can start in a minute. So tawagin nyo na yung mga ka-office mate nyo. If may friends kayo who want to learn about self-compassion, dahil alam ko na this topic is very relevant to all of us right now. Okay. Ayan, Joyce, I think we can start. So again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the last webinar of the month, which is entitled ME-lasakit, Cultivating Self-Compassion at Work. So we are positive workplaces, and our mission is that we co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. And we always emphasize this na we co-create these cultures with you through what we call the positivity ripples. Okay? Sige nga, dahil alam kong marami sa inyo na every week sinasamahan kami. Pakisabi nga sa akin, ano yung first ripple? Diba, Joyce, palaging tayo na lang yung nagsasabi kung ano yung first ripple. Can you type it in the chat box? Ano yung first ripple natin when it comes to making positive cultures?
Grabe, may pa-quiz ka agad, Gabi.
Oo nga eh. Pero parang na bigla silang lahat. So, ano yon, leading?
Starts with the S po.
Andyan pa po ba kayo?
Ayan!
Rosalind got it right. It's leading the self. So we really put a big premium on leading the self. Kaya nga ngayong hapon na to, we're going to talk about self-compassion, because once we are able to really get the required knowledge and skills and the right attitude, adopting the right attitude to be able to create those positivity ripples, ang laking bagay na nun. And in that way, we are able to lead others. And alam mo yun, positivity has this multiplier effect. Na once you start it with yourself, mag-resonate yung iba dito, and we are ultimately going to lead cultures and ultimately create positive workplaces. And this month, we have been talking about mental health with our team, putting me in mental health, boosting positive work environments. So for the past 2 weeks, we've covered hawak kamay, practicing and building helping skills. And last week, kasama natin si Kevin, hanap buhay naman, di ba, where we talked about meaning making. And today, we are going to talk about ME-lasakit and how we can cultivate self-compassion at work. But before we start, I'm gonna hand you over to Joyce for some of the reminders.
Ayan. So, reminders lang po, have another device or be ready to go to another link kasi maggagamit tayo ng Menti later. And prepare your papers and pens for your notes kasi for sure maraming i-share si Gabi sa atin today na matutunan natin. And of course, we highly encourage engagement with the audience. But please be respectful in the chat para harmonious lang din po yung ating engagement. And for our evaluation form, so the evaluation form will be issued at the end of the webinar for those in the Zoom room only. So ayan, remember lang din po natin yung 10, which is title. So check niyo po yung title, kung tama yung title na pinifill upan yung form. Email, write your email na active para hindi naliligaw yung certificate. And of course, write your name, yung totoong name niyo po para hindi na natin i-correct pa. And ayan, of course, so we're shifting to online system. So certificates are automatically generated. So whatever po yung ilagay nyo, i-fill up nyo dun sa mga forms, yun po yung lalabas. Ayan. And ayan, sa certificates naman, ayan, check your inbox and check your spam folder if wala sa inbox yung certificates. And lastly, ayan, for any concerns about evaluations or certificates, you may email us at engage@positiveworkplaces.org, and we will only be entertaining inquiries regarding evaluations and certificates up to 1 week after the event. So after po na hindi na po kami entertain.
Yes, so thank you so much, Joyce, for those reminders. I think we're ready to start. And kung ready na nga kayo, can you give us all a thumbs up? So pwede nyo i-click yung reactions and then just click thumbs up if we're ready to discuss our topic this afternoon, which is ME-lasakit. and I will be facilitating your session this afternoon. Okay. I think everyone's ready. So for this afternoon, we are going to answer the following questions. So first, we are going to answer why. Why is being kind to ourselves good for our well-being? And then next, we are going to answer what. What are the tools of ME-lasakit? So sana nakita nyo yung pun doon. And then last, we are going to answer how. How can we use ME-lasakit to enhance our well-being at work? So let's move on. Let's answer our why. And to start off, I would like you to read this situation. Okay? So a coworker went to you and shared how he has been feeling overwhelmed by the amount of work that he has been doing. Tapos nafe-feel din niya na parang hindi naman niya na-deserve yung position na meron siya kasi hindi na siya nakakapag-cope up dun sa demands ng work na meron siya. And naiisip na niya na mag-quit na siya dun sa work niya ngayon. Okay? So, imagine na a colleague went to you and inopen niya to lahat. So now I'd like you to reflect. How would you respond to your coworker? Okay, so we are going to send you the Mentimeter link on the chat box. Or you can just quickly scan the QR code. Alam kong kabisado nyo na to, and you will automatically be led to the Mentimeter board. Or you can just go to menti.com and enter the code 65532448. Or kung may mga matapang, pwede nyo sagutin sa chat box. How would you respond to your coworker or friend? Okay? So, right now, dalawa yung nakikita natin and I'm going to wait for you. Ano kayang sasabihin ko if my friend went to me at yun yung sinabi niya and the coworker went to me na nag-open siya na nahihirapan na siya. 'Di ba? So, nakikita natin yung mga sagot, listen to them empathically. May isa, encourage her to resign agad. 'Di ba? Just listen and let him blow off steam. Tama? I think natutunan nyo to dun sa mga pinag-usapan natin about communication, and we're happy that you are applying what you have learned. Merong listen and ask her to elaborate his or her feelings. Merong very supportive na go for what you think is best for you. May isa, empathic, sobrang empathic niya. Sinabi na din niya na I feel the same way. Okay? Yung iba, their words of encouragement, diba? We give them good advice rather than quitting the job. So siguro you help them see, ano pa ba yung ibang options na meron tayo? You ask for the pros and cons of his decision. Talagang letting him unload first, and then let's go through what are your options regarding that, diba? That ordeal. Ayan, if I could help him, I could offer my help, listen to and give encouragement. Feeling ko madami this time. I mean, hindi natin ikakailato. Marami talagang magsasabi, tara, resign na tayo, di ba? It's a way of reassuring the other person that it's not just you who's feeling that I am also feeling that. Ayan. I love how your responses are very caring and very, diba? It's very considerate of the person you are, who is talking to you. And kung babalikan natin, actually, this is very natural for us Filipinos. Bakit? Because all of your answers are actually what we call compassion. Diba? Parang they are compassionate acts. And just breaking down what compassion means, makikita nyo na is actually, or it actually means with. And when we say passion, it comes from the root word pati or suffer. So when we put them together, it becomes to suffer with. So as Filipinos, we are very compassionate people. Diba? Now we are easy to spot when someone else is having a hard time. It's easy to spot for us to spot kung ano yung kailangan ng ibang tao. And dinadamayan natin sila dun sa problema nila at tinutulungan natin sila kung paano sila makakaahon dun. And that is a very, very good trait that we have. But now I want you to reflect on, isipin mo naman yung last time na ikaw yung nagkaroon ng mistake, na you felt inadequate, or you encountered something difficult at work. So, halimbawa, ikaw naman yung nandoon sa place ng friend mo, na ikaw yung nahihirapan, feeling mo hindi ka magaling, feeling mo, aalis na lang ako, total, hindi naman ako mahalaga dito sa kumpanya na to. Okay? So, can you think about that last time? And then, can you reflect, ano yung sinabi mo sa sarili mo? So again, let's go back to Menti. So Joyce will be sharing with us. Let me just turn this here. Okay, so what did you say to yourself when you were the one who encountered a difficult time, when you felt inadequate, or you felt na you didn't have the right skill set, parang palaging may mas magaling sa'yo? Okay, Janet shares, sinabi niya, ang sabi daw niya sa sarili niya ay kaya ko ito. May mga nagsabi rin na it's my fault. May ibang nagsabi na it's okay not to be okay. May ibang nagsabi na fighting. May iba laban lang. May iba nagsabi it's okay self, you'll do better next time. May isa there's curiosity na what's happening to you self, 'di ba? And I think that's very very powerful. Okay? May isa naman parang humor yung pag-approach niya, 'di ba? So, merong I matter, I have my own brand. O, 'di ba minsan minsan sinasabi natin to as a joke, pero parang in a way, parang ano din siya, parang slap of reality na mayaman ka ba, bumawi ka. 'Di ba? There are some people who shared what I feel to the people who trusted. And I love how you are very, very kind to yourself, 'di ba? And I think na a lot of you can give us tips, lalo na dun sa mga, kasi may mga ilan din akong nakikita na parang hindi as compassionate or as kind yung mga sagot nila sa sarili nila. Okay, kasi 'di ba kanina nga yung unang-una sinabi na niya, it's my fault. Okay, yung iba, they motivate themselves. It's okay, nobody's perfect. And I told myself to just focus and charge to experience my mistake. At parang ang dami na, well, parang hindi natin binibigyan ng space yung sarili natin na hindi ka pwedeng mag-give up kasi may kailangan ka pang gawin. 'Di ba? May mga bayarin ka. Yan. And I'm so thankful for your sharing. I think we can all learn a lot from what you have shared with us this afternoon. Ayan, kahit sa chat box, ang ganda. May what happened anyway, nobody's perfect. We'll do better. This is only one challenge. Okay? So, it's so nice to see that there are various responses. Diba? Nakita natin na there are some who still beat themselves up. And there are some who got curious about what they were feeling. And there are some that who really, talagang nandoon yung kumpiyansa nila sa sarili nila na kayang-kaya mo yan. And yung mga answers nyo doon is what actually, yun yung pag-uusapan natin this afternoon. It's self-compassion, or how we relate to ourselves when we face failures, inadequacies, or personal suffering. Okay, so paano mo pinakikitunguan ang sarili mo sa harap ng kabiguan, personal na kakulangan at paghihirap? So, kung kayo ba yung tatanungin, pero mukhang naman, parang consistent, 'di ba? How you would treat yourself is also how you would treat your friend. Okay, so may two ways that we go about this. There are some people, and I will be vulnerable here and share with you that I am the kind of person who will beat myself up when I am in pain. So, yung mga typical words na makikita natin is, why is this happening to me? Lagi na lang ako, hindi to dapat nangyayari sa akin. Pero I think majority of the audience here, our learners this afternoon, can relate to the other side of the spectrum, na we accept ourselves while we are in pain. Na I feel bad, it's okay to feel bad, and I did my best with what I had in the moment. So I think I can skip what this question because makikita natin there is consistency between how you, 'di ba, how you treat yourself when you are in pain, and at the same time how you treat your coworkers, your friends, or even your family, na you are compassionate in both ways. And this is a very Filipino thing dahil bumabalik tayo dun sa concept natin ng kapwa or yung shared sense of self. 'Di ba? Na dahil gusto natin yung mabuti para sa atin, yun din yung pinapakita natin sa kapwa natin. Okay? So kung meron tayong pakikipagkapwa sa ibang tao or dun sa mga kapamilya natin, meron din tayong pakikipagkapwa sa sarili natin. At yun yung mas tutuunan natin ng pansin ngayong hapon. So again, I'm going to be vulnerable and share with you bakit ba ito yung topic na napili kong i-share with all of you. Because back in 2020 to 2021, I actually experienced a difficult time at work. So back then, I was working for an NGO in mental health, and we were really doing good work because during the pandemic, alam natin na there were gender-based violence survivors. So we created a program for them, nagbigay kami ng services, may mga dignity kits kaming binigay. So I was in charge of making sure that everything was going smoothly. And alam naman natin na during the pandemic, it was pretty hard to do all these things. 'Di ba? Kasi we had to, paano nila sinasabi yun, na we had to build the plane while running the ship already. Okay? So dumating sa point na sobrang hirap na ako, na ang dami kong ginagawa, and how I treated myself was ganito, na parang wala kang karapatan magpahinga kasi hindi pa tapos yung kailangang ipasa. Hindi ka pa tapos sa kailangang ipasa. Or meron din namang times sinabi ko, ang bagal mo naman, ang dami-dami mo pang gagawin. Minsan natanong ko pa nga na hindi ba ako magaling dahil hindi ko magawa tong pinapagawa sa akin. And there were also times na parang sinisisi ko na lang yung sarili ko na bakit parang ako lang yung nahihirapan at kasalanan ko to lahat. So I don't know, do you resonate with this now? Were there times na even if majority of the time we're kind to ourselves, umaabot pa rin tayo dun sa point na, yes, may times na I beat myself up. So if you can totally relate with that, can you type in yes in the chat box? Ayan. So thank you, Angelique, dahil sinamahan mo ko. And I think a lot of us, di ba, at one point or another, na we utter these phrases to ourselves. And nung mga time na yon, what we forgot to do was to show compassion to ourselves and be curious around the pain we were experiencing. And in a way, kung makikita nyo, I was actually resisting the pain. So dun sa mga sinabi ko, makikita natin na when I was resisting the pain I was feeling, I actually activated the unholy trinity of suffering, which is self-isolation, self-criticism, and self-absorption. Okay? So makikita nyo, I classified the statements under these headings na bakit parang ako lang yung nahihirapan. Parang yung mga friends ko naman kayang-kaya nila. Meron ding self-criticism na hindi ka pwedeng magpahinga kasi marami ka pang kailangan gawin. And there was this kind of self-absorption na kasalanan ko to lahat, na kung hindi ako yung naging in charge, magiging maayos lahat ng mga bagay-bagay. Pero we know that that's not true. Okay? And this is what I want you to focus on right now, na actually, suffering is something na it's kind of self-imposed. Okay? So when it comes to life, pain is a given, but suffering, it's something that we impose in ourselves. Because pain is actually unavoidable discomfort. Okay? So in life, apart from change, I think pain is also something constant na i-expect mo na at one point or another, we are going to experience unavoidable discomfort. Palaging may pain na dadating. But it's our response which actually determines if we will suffer or not. And kung titignan natin kung paano ako nag-respond during those moments na I resisted the pain I was feeling. Okay? And that's what actually led to my suffering. So imagine ninyo na, yes, there was pain, there was stress at work. I was also experiencing na pagod ako, nawawalan na ako ng motivation. But the fact na I was resisting it, na instead of welcoming that pain, I resisted it. It only resulted to my own suffering. Okay? But imagine ninyo, what if I didn't resist the pain that I was feeling? Diba? Alam natin na in math equations, when we multiply anything by 0, ano yung magiging result? It is, pakilagay sa chat box, 0. Diba? So imagine niyo na instead of resisting the pain I was feeling, if I exerted 0 effort toward of the pain, then 0 sana yung suffering ko. Okay? And that's where self-compassion comes in. Because that acceptance of pain, okay, that's what leads you to reduce your suffering. And when that happens, when you show yourself that compassion, when we don't resist the pain, diba? It boosts our well-being instead of leading us to suffering. So imagine niyo if everyone in the workplace, diba? If each and every one of us in the workplace practices self-compassion and we reduce our own suffering. Actually, makikita nyo na even in the workplace, it's already a big help because in organizations where burnout, depression are very rampant, when people practice self-compassion, nakakakita tayo ng decreases in burnout. Because when you get curious around why you are feeling tired, nababawasan yung physical draining mo ng energy. When you get curious about why do I feel frustrated about a certain project. So instead of wasting your energy on that frustration and working on getting your skills up and accepting that you are learning, diba? It also reduces the cognitive load. It reduces the cognitive demand that your work has. So it really helps us with burnout. And at the same time, it also reduces depression. Because instead of us ruminating over the negative things, or yun nga, instead of us feeling shame because we are trying to ward off the pain, nababawasan yung rumination natin and instead napapalitan siya ng acceptance. We accept what we feel, we accept where we are. And at the same time, nagbo-boost din siya ng resilience and performance. And mas makikita pa natin yun lahat as we go through the session this afternoon. And what I want you to know that self-compassion actually brings out safety and connection. And these are very important because it is when we feel safe and when we feel connected that we are at our best. So now let's explore what are the tools of a ME-lasakit. Okay? So, di ba nakikita niyo sa screen niyo ngayon na meron tayong may sugat. May mga times na bigla tayong nadadapa, lalo na nung bata tayo. O kaya ngayon, kahit matanda na tayo, di ba, pag nag-handle tayo ng papel, nagkaka-paper cut tayo. So, pag meron tayong sugat, may paper cut tayo, ano yung kit na tinatry nating hingin sa ibang tao? Pwede nyo bang isulat sa chat box? Ano yung kit na kinukuha natin pag ilambawa may biglang nasusuka, may biglang nakakaramdam ng hilo o kaya may nasusugatan. Ayan, may mga nag-mention kung ano yung laman ng kit. May nagsabing band-aid. Pero ang tawag sa kanya is yung first aid kit. Okay? May medicine kit. I'm sure a lot of your workplaces required na dapat may first aid kit tayo. Okay? So, doon ko gusto ihalin tulad yung prepare namin sa inyo this afternoon. Na just in the same way na nagkakaroon tayo ng sugat physically at meron tayong first aid kit, pag nakakaramdam din tayo ng emotional pain or psychological pain, meron tayong tinatawag na ME-lasakit. Okay? And ngayon, kung kanina nabanggit nyo na may band-aid, may white flower, may bulak, 'di ba? Yun yung mga laman ng first aid kit. Titingnan natin ngayon kung ano ang laman ng ME-lasakit. And pinadali namin siya kasi tatandaan nyo lang yung KINT. So the first tool in the ME-lasakit is kindness to yourself. The next one is I, or in touch with the present moment. The next one is T, or togetherness in suffering. Okay? So these are the three things that you have to remember when we talk about the ME-lasakit. And let's go through them one by one. Okay? So first is kindness to yourself. So the first tool that we have in our ME-lasakit is when you this is when you show kindness to yourself. It's giving yourself the tenderness and care that you need when you are going through a tough time. Okay? It's trying to understand and show patience when nakikita natin na we are falling short of our own expectations or even the expectations of others have of us. And it is also that gentle tolerance of your own shortcomings. Okay? It's a way to see na ang worth natin, unconditional siya, no matter how many flaws that we have. So that's the first tool in our kit. The next tool in our kit is in touch with the present moment. Okay? So this is simply being present or paying attention. Feeling ko mas kilala nyo siya sa tawag na mindfulness. It's when we pay attention to the present moment and completely accepting what is. Hindi natin iisipin yung past, hindi natin iisipin yung future. Nandoon lang tayo kung ano yung nangyayari, ano yung naiisip natin, ano yung nararamdaman natin, both internally and kahit sa bodily sensations natin. So it's about acknowledging and labeling our own thoughts as opposed to reacting to them. Okay, so that's the next tool in the kit. And then the last tool is togetherness in suffering. So one of the things that we'd like to highlight here is that we all experience suffering. Do you agree with that? Can you type in agree if you agree na lahat naman tayo nakakaranas ng paghihirap? Okay, yan, nakikita natin lahat ng responses. Everyone experiences pain. So one of the tools in the ME-lasakit is that we should recognize that challenges and personal failures are common to all people. So you are not alone when you experience this suffering, okay? And it is completely part of the human experience. Yung sinulat nga ni Christine Neff, ang ganda nung pagkakasabi niya na the pain I feel in difficult times is the same pain that you feel in difficult times. The triggers may be different, the circumstances may be different, and the degree of pain is different, but the process is the same. We all go through that process. Okay? So those three things, those are the three tools that we have inside our ME-lasakit. Okay, so may sinabi si Mariel dito na making mistakes means you are a human being and you are learning something. Yes, that's very true. And yun yung isa sa mga point kung bakit nung kinonceptualize yung self-compassion, isa sa tools yung togetherness in suffering. So knowing those three things or knowing that those are the three tools of the ME-lasakit, sa tingin nyo, based lang dun sa mga description, which of those three tools do you need more of? So let's head on over to Menti. So, pwede kayong pumili. Which of the three tools of the ME-lasakit do you need more of? Is it kindness to self? Is it in touch with the present moment? Or reminding na there is togetherness in suffering? So we are slowly getting learners inside the Menti room. And right now, kindness to yourself yung pinakamadami. I think I can resonate with that. And feeling ko, based dun sa shinare ko kanina, maiintindihan nyo na it's really kindness to yourself na it's something that I really have to work on. Okay, so while some of you are answering, I'd just like to know, okay lang ba yung pace natin? Masyado ba akong mabilis magsalita? Do you need me to slow down? If it's okay, can you just put a thumbs up. Okay, so okay lang yung pace. Okay. So yan. A lot of us, ayan, I'm so comforted by the fact na a lot of us need kindness to ourselves. Diba? Which is very, very interesting because baseline, diba, dun sa mga answers nyo kanina, it already seemed like you were already kind to yourself. Okay, but now we can see na majority talaga, it's kindness to ourselves that we need to practice. So don't you worry, I got tools for you. I got tips for you. I've got hacks for you para madagdagan natin or ma-practice pa natin yung self-kindness. Okay, so now let's proceed to how can we use ME-lasakit to enhance our well-being at work. Okay, so again, ang gusto naming iwan sa inyo is when we are building the ME-lasakit, it's something na when difficulty comes, dapat naka-ready na siya. Hindi siya yung bubuuin mo kapag meron ka lang pinagdaanan na paghihirap. Okay, diba just like the first aid kit, nilalagay natin siya we assemble every tool, we assemble medicine, we assemble yung mga gauze, mga band-aid, lahat sila nasa isang kit na para just in case we encounter any emergency, it's easy for us to just access the kit and then use those tools inside it when we, halimbawa, yun na nga, maka-encounter tayo ng emergency. And it's the same way when we encounter suffering or when we encounter hardships in life, na hindi na natin aantayin yung hardship na yun bago tayo bumao nung ME-lasakit. So, kailangan buo na siya. And here are some of the things or tools that you can include in your kit so that when that time comes, when you need to show self-compassion to yourself the most, madali na siyang hugutin. Okay? So first is kindness to yourself. There are two tools or two things that you can put in your kit that pertain to kindness to yourself. And those are self-soothing tools and permission slips. Okay, so let's go to self-soothing tools first. So when it comes to self-soothing, it's actually one of the emotional regulation strategies that we can use so that we can regain calmness after an upsetting event. And it actually helps us reset our bodily systems after feeling that stress response whenever our brains detect na there is a threat in the environment. Okay? So, yung katawan kasi, di ba, we've been talking about this na when our brain usually, what our brain usually does when it encounters something novel, okay? Ang nakikita niya tinitingnan niya palagi, is this safe or is this threatening? And once na na-label niya yun as safe or threatening, doon na magde-depend kung ano yung susunod na gagawin niya. And when the brain is threatened, it automatically activates your stress response. So, ilambawa, may coworker ka na sinigawan ka, your brain automatically sends you that sends that message inside na, okay, this is a threat. Hindi niya madidiscriminate na, ay baka valid naman yung reason kaya siya sumisigaw. Ang first level of analysis niya palagi is, this is a threat. Pag may sumisigaw, threat siya agad. And when that happens, na-activate yung stress response natin. Kaya napapansin nyo, di ba, biglang bibilis yung kabog ng dibdib nyo, parang feeling nyo lumalaki yung tenga nyo or mas naririnig nyo yung sigaw na yon. O kaya umiinit mapapansin nyo, umiinit na yung mukha nyo. So kung nakaka-relate kayo, you can type in the chat box kung ano yung nangyayari sa nyo kapag naririnig nyong may sumisigaw. So pag nangyayari yon, what we need to do, especially in those moments, is to learn how to turn off that stress response. And one of the things that can help us is through what we call self-soothing. I think a lot of you have already used one of these in one way or another. So limbawa, pag stress ka sa work, pwedeng yung pag may kinikrave ka, 'di ba? May iba naman pag stress sa work, mag-yosi break muna ako. Okay? Hindi ko in-encourage yon, pero it's an example. Pero alam natin na there are long-term effects when you use cigarette smoke. So hindi yun yung hindi yun yung i-recommend natin na self-soothing technique. But self-soothing is one of the ways that we turn off that stress response. And the one thing that we can, when we use these self-soothing techniques, kailangan natin mag-focus on our five senses because it helps ground us in reality, or it puts us back in the present. So just an example, so makikita nyo to sa internet, na pag nag-type kayo ng self-soothing, there are different things that you will be able to see. So as long as it pertains to the different senses, you can automatically get that already. So 'di ba may ibang tao na the way that they relax or the way that they calm down is to focus on something relaxing through their sight. So yung iba gusto tumitingin sa mga puno, yung iba lalabas para lang makita yung araw, or there are times when you are about to sleep, gusto mo madilim talaga. So that's self-soothing technique that you can use at home. Pero like when you are at work, 'di ba, parang masaya din minsan na pumunta ka sa isang room na tahimik tapos madilim. So pwede ring gusto mo lang na tahimik yung surroundings mo. So what can you hear? Yung iba, you listen to your favorite music. So that's another way that you can soothe yourself. Meron din naman through touch. Okay? So yun yung highlight ko ngayon because I think marami sa atin nakapanood dito sa It's Okay Not to Be Okay. 'Di ba? Nung tinuruan niya na mag-butterfly hug si Komunyong para kumalma siya whenever she feels threatened or triggered. So the point here is you should see what works for you because what works for you might not work for other people. There are some who prefer yung mga aromatherapy oils. I'm sure maraming nakaka-relate. So baka ito na yung sign nyo na i-check out nyo na yung aromatherapy oil na yan. So may mga times na we light up a candle so that it will ground us to the present moment. It helps us relax. Yung iba naman, it's when they cuddle things, yung may stuffed toys sila na hinahawakan when we were kids, or yung iba kahit maghilamos lang sila. So I can see yung mga learners ngayon, nag-share sila na, di ba yung initial response, may naiiyak, it's part of the job, napapahiya sila, parang nag-a-appear na bayad sila. Pero ang nangyayari kasi doon, na-activate yung stress response nyo. So it's also nice to know what you can use. Ito na nga yung tinatawag nating self-soothing technique to turn off that stress response. So merong mga nagsasabi na pagkain, yoga, there are some who use relaxing music, may nagbe-breathe in and breathe out. Actually, ito yung next mentee question ko, pero thank you for sharing these with us. May iba yung comfort food nila, di ba? May mag-aaya na, mag-ice cream tayo, mag-milk tea tayo. May iba naman, they walk, di ba? That's still a sense of touch in a way because you feel your feet on the ground. And then may iba, they love the scent of the fresh air or yung paghaplos ng fresh air sa kanila. May iba din massage, may nagzuzumba. Di ba? So you do you. You have to figure out what would help you soothe yourself. Pero ang importante dito is dapat ready na siya. At alam mo kung ano yung kailangan mong i-access when that time comes when you are very in that stressful situation. Okay? Alam kong tempting ang mag-open ng Shopee app, pero isipin din natin yung long-term effect niya kapag nakita din natin na ang totoong bank account natin ay magzi-zero na. Okay? So again, you can access different self-soothing tools and you can put that in your kit. So baka meron kang kikay kit na nakalagay na dun yung essential oils mo, meron kang maybe a cloth that you like touching, or pwede ring may playlist ka na listen to this when you are stressed, di ba? So it's very important that you have those ready because when you are in that stressful moment, fight or flight ka na lang. So we have to kailangan may access ka agad para you are able to soothe yourself. Okay, and the next tool in that under kindness to yourself is what we call self-permission. Okay? So one of the capstone projects of an Master of Applied Positive Psychology graduate in Penn University, ito yung naging capstone project niya. Tapos parang na-find out niya doon na we have a tendency na we feel guilty whenever we try to take care of ourselves, when we try to attend to our personal well-being. 'Di ba? Parang nagigilty tayo na, hala, kailangan kayanin ko lang to. And it's very normal because in our Asian country, 'di ba? Parang meron tayong value na pagkamatiisin na as long as kaya pa natin, go lang tayo ng go. And I think that's what we also saw dun sa mga answers nyo kanina. But studies also show na to be able for us to sustain that psychological energy that we have, we also have to give ourselves permission to attend to our personal well-being so that we can lead a fulfilling life. So these self-permissions help relieve the guilt we feel na whenever we try to prioritize ourselves. Okay? So one of the things that you can include in your ME-lasakit is what you call permission slips. Okay, so I asked a good friend of mine if I can share the permission slips he made for himself. So, hi Roy. So he's the current executive director of Mental Health PH. And I asked him if I could show you guys some examples of permission slips that they created for their page. Okay, so what you put in your permission slips is ano ba yung mga statements that will help remind you that it is okay to be kind to yourself and to take care of yourself. So kung makikita nyo dun sa example natin, I give myself permission to focus on my own journey and my own timeline. Because we also know this in positive workplaces na madalas may mga nagtatanong, bakit parang hindi ko pa nararanasan kung ano yung naaabot ng mga kaibigan ko. 'Di ba? We tend to fall into that comparison trap, thinking na we're not good enough because we're not at the same level with other people. So this is a good reminder na we give ourselves permission to focus on our own journey and our own timeline. And then there are times naman na ako personally, I hate having plan B, C, D. Gusto ko plan A pa lang as a maximizer. Plan A pa lang, gusto ko tapos na agad. Makukuha ko na siya agad. But as I went through life, parang it just added to my frustration when I couldn't do my plan A. So one of the things that I could really relate when it comes to permission slips are I give myself permission to go plan B, to go plan C, and go plan D. Okay, sabi ni Shaimelin, it's may God's will rin. So yeah, di ba? Maganda rin permission slip yun. I give myself permission to allow myself to follow God's will. Di ba? So yan, you can create different permission slips for yourselves. And if you want to share in the chat box kung ano yung naiisip nyo ngayon, you can definitely do that. Okay, isa ko pang nakita over the internet, I give myself permission to try. I give myself permission to be a learner at this stage because I was assigned recently a new project. And I know that it takes a different skill set to accomplish it. So I'm giving myself permission to be a learner in that particular aspect. So if you have any permission slips in mind, we'd love to hear that from you. You can put it in the chat box. Felrose, sanabi, I give myself permission to allow myself to be rich. Diba? Abundance mindset. Diba? You don't see it as something that will block you, but it activates that mindset na, okay, if I want to be rich, what are the things that I can do? It opens that whole action formula that you can do. Okay, so apart from being kind to yourself, you can also use in touch with the present moment. And I'm going to teach you 2 things that you can put in your toolkit, which is feeling the pain and accepting it. Okay? So first, when we are trying to be in the present moment and just experiencing it where we are or just accepting things as is where is, Okay? We allow ourselves to feel the pain. So sometimes, minsan takot na takot tayo dun sa emotions natin. And I think growing up, ako personally, parang laging sinasabi sa akin na hindi ka pwede maging emotional. You should shut off your negative emotions. We should only be happy. Happy lang dapat. But what we don't understand is if we repress, again, if we resist those kinds of emotions and we don't get curious around it, ang tendency is those kinds of emotions have their way of creeping out. So it can be guilt, it can be shame, it can be resentment. Ang dami niyang ibang avenues na pwedeng labasan. So our call to you this afternoon is to actually feel the pain. 'Di ba? Pag halimbawa nagkaroon ka ng sugat, nararamdaman mo na may masakit. And balikan ko lang intentional yung paggamit ko dito ng gauze. Kasi when you are in touch with the present moment, 'di ba? Pag nagkasugat ka, tapos nilinis mo yung sugat, okay? Doon mo pa lang makikita kung ano yung extent nung sugat na yon. Minsan feeling natin parang ang sakit-sakit niya, pero pag tiningnan mo yung sugat, maliit lang pala siya. So, alam mo na ngayon kung ano yung gagawin, hindi siya kailangang tahiin, kailangan lang siyang linisin. Tapos lalagyan mo rin lang siya ng betadine, lagyan mo ng Band-Aid hanggang mag-heal siya. So, same goes for our emotional pain. Minsan, the more na sinusuppress natin siya and the more we don't get curious around it, the more na natatakot lang tayo, we feel shame, bitterness about it. Pero yun pala, when we get curious around it, it can be just this cute small monster. But sige, sabihin na natin na there are times na hindi siya ganyan ka-cute minsan. Pero hindi ba mas better na alam natin what we are facing so that we would know what we need to do more than tinago mo lang siya, 'di ba? Katulad ng sugat, may iba namang sugat ayaw natin pagalaw kasi baka mamaya lumala pa. Pero the more na hindi natin siya pinapagalaw, seeing the extent, sasabihin natin na ay hindi naman masakit, baka okay lang 'yan. Pero yun pala sobrang lalim ng sugat mo. 'Di ba? Anong mangyayari? Magkakaroon siya ng infection, hindi siya agad gagaling. So it's same goes with our emotions. We have to explore them. We have to be curious around them so that we would know what to do. So the first step is always to feel the pain. Okay? And then next, of course, hindi lang natin hahayaan na if we feel natin yung pain, but we also have to accept it. And we can do this by softening, allowing, and labeling. Okay? So softening is about accepting the bodily manifestations of stress or of pain. So sometimes mapapansin nyo na you can do a quick body scan na when you feel stress, sometimes it manifests as a headache or sometimes it manifests as parang heavy, mabigat yung ulo mo or minsan lightheaded ka or minsan parang punong-puno ng thoughts yung utak mo. Ako most of the time, I resonate na it's always on my nape. I know that I am stressed when naninigas na yung bato ko. And for some, they feel it in their stomach. Minsan, nakaka-experience sila ng butterflies in their stomach or they experience, nag-LBM pa nga sila when they feel stressed or they feel that something is up. And sometimes it's actually in your legs, di ba? Minsan after a long time of just sitting down, attending meeting after meeting, you can feel it, you can feel tension in your legs. So it's good to be curious, do a body scan, and just accept. Notice where those bodily sensations of stress are. Okay, and once you have sense, the next thing you have to do is to allow it. So by allowing your pain, ang magandang imagery na pwede nating ipakita dito is it's just like you are looking at clouds, 'di ba? There are some things na sobrang laki. There is some pain na sobrang parang malaki siyang rain cloud na it hovers over you over a certain period, hindi nga lang day, over a certain period of time. And what we would like you to do is to just invite yourself to imagine that cloud as your pain. Imagine your pain as a cloud and watch it as it passes over you. So some pain may be big, some may be just small ones. But what you have to remember is that you are not the cloud. You are not your pain. You are just simply observing it and allowing it to pass through. So this is how you accept the emotional experience of discomfort and let it just be as it is. That it is free to come and go at any moment. And then after we feel the pain, we sense it in our body, and then we just allow it to pass through, we also are called to label it. So for those who have been regular attendees of our webinar, you are familiar with the emotion sensation wheel, di ba? Ang dami niyang pwedeng paggamitan. So what we invite you is to now name that emotion, di ba? Growing up, it has been hard for us to name our emotions because most of the time we are called to repress it, di ba? Hindi na natin siya nalilabel na wag na kasi may kailangan pa akong gawin, kaya hindi ko na yan kailangan pag-isipan. But again, when we don't process these difficult or negative emotions, they come up in different ways. So it's important that we label them so that we recognize them and we would know what to do. So how do we use this emotion sensation wheel? So I invite you first to look at the outer part of the wheel. Kasi these are usually behaviors that we see in ourselves, di ba? Whenever we feel a particular emotion. So for this particular example, sabihin natin na I've been feeling heavy. There's this parang feeling of loneliness because I haven't seen my friends in a while. So for those of you who don't know, I'm really from La Union and I'm staying in Manila right now. So I don't get to see my friends that often. So there's this feeling of loneliness. Na there are times that I just want to be with them, but I can't. And it ultimately points to the emotion that I am sad. So when I am able to narrow it down na I'm feeling sad at the moment, okay, it helps me disentangle from what I am feeling and to look at the emotion objectively, di ba? Hindi ka madadala dun sa sadness na yon. Because ang tendency, if madadala ka dun sa sadness na yon, I will just ruminate and contemplate about that problem, about that emotion. And hindi ko matatanggal yung sarili ko from that, which is not good. So what we want is to disentangle from that emotion so that we would know or we would have an idea on what to do next. Okay, but also we would like to ask you to give yourself time, okay, to process these. Hindi mo kailangang agad mag-respond immediately to the situation, but you can be sure that parang you can respond when you are ready. Okay, so yon yung pwede nating tool na ilagay. You can put your emotion sensation wheel. I think if you Google, may makikita kayong mga emotion sensation wheel na you can print so that whenever you are feeling something na hindi mo ma-explain, nakikita mo, okay, na hindi yun yung usual behaviors that you exhibit. You can easily go through the emotion sensation wheel and then maybe it's time to be present in the moment so that instead of reacting, we give ourselves that space to think, that space to recognize ano ba yung nangyayari sa akin internally and how do I best respond to that. Okay, so far malinaw ba? So you can react, thumbs up. Sabi ni Marie, yes. Nakakasunod pa ba? So sabihin nyo lang if we need to slow down or if there are other things na we need to focus on. If you have questions, just you can type it in the chat box. May mga nakita ko kanina, baka pwede natin yun balikan. But we are also going to use Pigeonhole later for your other questions. So last is togetherness in suffering. And we are going to share with you a common humanity meditation. When Christine Neff was studying self-compassion, nakita niya na one important factor or one important component of self-compassion is knowing that we are similar to one another. Okay? Because when we see that we are similar, when we see that we are connected, we feel that we belong. And when we feel that we belong, we feel less isolated, we feel more attached, and we activate. Okay? We activate the well-being centers in our brain. So I'd like you to, para dun sa mga pwedeng mag-recite, okay? Hindi nyo kailangan mag-unmute. I would like to share with you this Common Humanity meditation. You can access this in one of the sites. We can share that with you as well. Ang tawag sa kanya is Just Like Me. So it's helping you remember that other people are just like you in these ways. Because diba in society today, parang most of the time nagfo-focus tayo, ano ba yung pagkakaiba natin? Sinong mas magaling dito? Sinong mas magaling dyan? But we forget that at the core, pare-pareho tayo. So as we go through this, I would like to invite you, okay? Sabay-sabay natin siyang sabihin. Huwag na kayong mag-unmute. But I'd like you to recite this gently in your seat, or kung may mga kasama kayo dyan, nice din to recite it with them. Okay, so you can use this whenever you feel na you are alone in your suffering or you are alone in your pain. Or alam mo yung kahit daily mo lang siyang sabihin, or there are certain days of the week na gagawin mo ng habit na this is your personal reminder to yourself na I am not alone in what I am going through in this thing that we call life. Okay? So you can use this person. Kung ilambawa, may times in the office na may makakasalubong ka na kinaiinisan mo, o kaya if there is a person who is also suffering just like you, so you can use this person. Or kanina trinay ko nga siya na paano kaya kung sabihin ko other people, or 'di ba, para to create that sense of community. Now, other people have a body and mind just like me. Other people have feelings, emotions, and thoughts just like me. Other people have, at some point in their life, been sad, disappointed, angry, hurt, or confused just like me. So, pwedeng, again, this person has in their life experienced physical and emotional pain and suffering just like me. This person has experienced moments of peace and joy, even happiness, just like me. So this person wishes to have fulfilling relationships just like me. And lastly, this person wishes to be healthy and loved just like me. Diba? So after reciting that, how do you feel? Nung una ko tong nabasa, we were doing this for one of our courses entitled Psychological Safety. Sabi ko, oo nga no, most of the time we emphasize or we focus on the things that we are different, where we are different, na nakakalimutan natin na at the core, pare-pareho nga pala tayo. So Roslyn shares na they feel more empathetic with others since they go through the same things just like I do. Diba? Now when we feel that same way, parang we feel connected to one another na we are all going through this. Walang mas magaling, walang mas lamang. Pare-pareho tayo. Kahit pa yung boss mo na nagagalit sa'yo, di ba? And this person has beliefs, perspectives, opinions just like me. They have also experienced sadness, pain, and suffering just like me. So this is a call for us to focus on where we are all alike more than we are not alike. And when we feel that connectedness, it activates, 'di ba? Parang in the course of our survival, ang nakatulong talaga sa survival natin is when we feel together, when we act together. And this is one of the things na we can bank on. This is one of the things na you can constantly use, 'di ba? To feel na you are connected with other people in your life. Okay? So, again, we have discussed the tools of ME-lasakit, and we've shared with you how you can use them at work, how you can use them in our daily lives. So quick recap lang. So you can give kindness to yourself. So you can take them as pills, pwedeng as needed or even before, 'di ba? Usually we take vitamin C para maging immune na tayo. to palakasin yung immune system natin. So you can give yourself permission slips. You can give yourselves different self-soothing tools so that you'd know what to use whenever you feel stressed, whenever you feel upset, or if ever you feel frustrated at yourself. And then you can also be in touch with the present moment. So it's really about being curious around the emotions that you feel, feeling the pain. Hindi mo siya, 'di ba? Hindi mo siya i-exaggerate, hindi mo rin siya i-minimize, but feeling the pain as is where is. Talagang giving that accurate description of what the pain is. And we have given you feel it, pati yung allowing it, and then the emotion sensation wheel. And then last is togetherness in suffering. So we have shared with you the common humanity meditation that you can recite. So you can do it alone, you can do it when you are in a team, before a meeting. Parang feeling ko powerful yun. Pag before a meeting, yun yung sasabihin mo para in times na minsan, di ba, gusto mo na sabihin, ano ba naman yung, ano na yan, yung suggestion na yan. But you will also reflect. You will be curious because, di ba, just like you, that person also has opinions. Just like you, they also have their own viewpoint. So it makes you more open about the people around you. So to close, okay, so I'd like to ask, how will you show self-compassion to yourself today? So let's go back to our Mentimeter. So how will you show self-compassion to yourself today? Now that you know na we have to show kindness to ourselves. We have to be intentional and be present in the moment. Na we have this sense of togetherness and suffering. How will you show self-compassion to yourself today? Gusto ko to. Kanina ko pa din to sinasabi kay Kelly tsaka kay na Joyce. Sleep is actually one of the ways that we can show self-compassion to ourselves. Hindi ba? Feeling ko ang pagod natin, nakaharap tayo all the time sa computer, our eyes need some time to rest para malubricate din naman siya. So merong treat myself to coffee after work, have enough rest, appreciate and love myself, appreciate the small things, go on a vacation, relax in a beach. Diba? O nga long weekend na, siguro yung iba mag-aano na sila, very, very excited na to take that much needed break. Merong iba din, hindi rin namin kayo is-stop because there are also some people that they really, the best way that they show compassion to themselves is when they really show up fully for the work that they do and for the things that they want to do in life. Ayan, I will not be too hard on myself. I will face my inner demons. And I will understand myself more so that I can understand others too. Merong healing music, may candle meditation, may favorite dessert, writing a letter to my present and future self. This is actually a good way, diba, to tell yourself o kaya to remind yourself na ito yung mga pinagdaanan ko before and nalampasan mo lahat yon. Pagsubok lang yung mga dinadaanan mo ngayon. Ayan, I will not do overtime today and will spend time with my family tonight. Yes, I hope you really give yourself permission to do that. Ayan, I love all of your answers. May listen to BTS songs, walking with friends. So I hope that after everything that we discussed today, you will now be able to show more self-compassion to yourselves. Not only in times na we are faced with suffering, but in our everyday life. Because ang dami na nating pinagdadaanan. So, kailangan din na alagaan natin yung sarili natin. And just to close this off, I'd like to say na baka mamaya may ibang nag-iisip na is self-compassion selfish kasi uunahin ko yung sarili ko. Well, I'd like to reassure you that it's not. Because it's when you expand your capacity to experience self-compassion, diba? It's when you are able to hold more compassionate space for others. So I hope that as you practice self-compassion in your lives, you will be able to show more compassion to other people as well. And that's where we end our webinar this October. Thank you, everyone. So that's ME-lasakit, Cultivating Self-Compassion at Work. And we're now ready to take in your questions. Okay, so we'd love for you to join us in Pigeonhole. So if you have any questions, you can ask them here. So you can just simply go to pigeonhole.at and enter the passcode compassion, or you can scan the QR code with your phone. And Bianca, one of our training and development interns, also shared with you the link on the chat box. Ayan. So thank you, everyone. We hope that you will be able to practice yung mga pinakita namin sa inyo. May nagtanong if we are going to give handouts. I think we are going to prepare a post about this. So I'm going to plan this with Kelly so that we can share this to you on Facebook. Okay, so I think we're ready for questions. Ayan. Kanina may nakita ko sa chat box. I'm not sure if there are people who were able to take note of the questions. Okay. So may isa nang pumasok dito. What if... Wait. Ayan. So what if someone misinterprets my self-compassion moment as something selfish? So thank you for asking this. I think this is very valid, especially in the workplace. 'Di ba? Kasi minsan parang yung mga self-compassion practices natin, 'di ba? It would appear na selfish siya. Lalo na halimbawa, kung may coworker ka na gustong mag-unload sa'yo, pero at that particular time, you're also going through something hard, kaya you want to be alone, you want to, 'di ba, engage in different self-soothing practices. So I guess, if that person calls you out, the best thing that you can do is to explain to him or her, if you are comfortable, na you're going through something and you are trying to refill your cup so that you can show up more fully in your roles, or kung may kailangan ba siya sa'yo. Parang mas dun ko siya naiisip at this moment na baka may kailangan sa'yo tong taong to ngayon. Kaya iisipin niya na hindi mo siya pinagbibigyan. Kaya feeling niya ang selfish mo. So I think it's best that you communicate na it's your time, you're taking time off, na you're taking time to take care of yourself. And if dumating sa point na i-label or i-judge niya yun as selfish, if you're willing, you can explain to that person that it's important to show kindness to myself and to engage in this, yung ganong behavior. Kasi, halimbawa, kung ako punong-puno ako, tapos mag-open ka pa sa akin, do you think I can show up in the best way for you? 'Di ba? Hindi. So, first, it depends on your level of comfort on how close you are with that person, kasi ano ba yung i-share mo sa kanya, 'di ba? Pero I think just simply telling him or her na I'm taking a break and then giving them siguro a specific time na lang na maybe we can talk about this at another time, maybe that would also help reassure that person that you doing your self-compassion practices is not completely selfish at all. So I hope that helps. Sabi din ni Sharmilyn, try to encourage and explain. And yes, actually that's effective. Gusto ko yung sinabi niya, try to encourage. Maybe bigyan mo rin siya pwede mo siyang bigyan ng similarities na kung ikaw ba yung nakaka-experience ng ganito, ano yung mga ginagawa mo? And then maybe you can pick up from that conversation. Okay, so meron ding, what can you advise if one has a hard time forgiving oneself? Parang ang hirap sagutin nito kasi personally, ako din. Si Joyce ba andi dito?
Hi,
Okay na ba
Gabby.
yung ano mo? Yan, hi Joyce! Ayan. So I think what can you advise if one has a hard time forgiving oneself? Okay? So I think dito, babalik tayo dun sa tinatawag nating concept na common humanity, na we go back to the fact that as humans, 'di ba? We have limits. And together with those limits, it's really inevitable that at one point or another, we will fail. We will not meet our own expectations. We will not meet the expectations of other people. And when we start accepting that, 'di ba? So, I think dun yung first step na recognizing, kahit i-recognize mo lang na as human beings, we are really bound to fail at one point or another. That's where you start seeing yourself and giving yourself grace at that particular moment. And don't be too hard on yourself kung hindi mo rin ma-forgive yung sarili mo at that moment. 'Di ba sinabi nga din namin kanina, it really takes time. So ikaw, Joyce, what about you? What's your take on this question?
Sobrang hirap nito kasi ginagawa ko rin ito.
Same, di ba?
Parang hindi ko alam kung ano yung sasagot. Pero siguro, for me, inaallow ko yung sarili ko na i-feel yung emotions ko during that time. But I'm sure na parang make sure ko na I won't dwell on it that much. Kasi baka mamaya masobrahan na ako and at the same time, mag-self-loathe na ako. So, ayun lang, parang inaallow ko yung sarili ko na i-feel yon at that time. But I make sure na I also parang I can also know parang ano yung mga limitations ko, just like what you said. Para hindi ako yung nagagalit sa sarili ko.
Yes. I love your answer, Joyce. 'Di ba? Babalik din tayo dun sa again. Pag ni-resist natin yung fact na yon, we just prolong our suffering. So ayan, we hope we answer that question. So ayan, I think ito ang top voted, and this is really very interesting. Now, how do we balance being compassionate to ourselves and at the same time push ourselves to do our best? So, based dun sa concept ni Christine Neff on self-compassion, parang na-foresee din niya na there are people who might say na when we give self-compassion or when we practice self-compassion, hindi ba minsan parang we use that as an excuse to parang not perform na at our best. But it's actually different, because even if we show compassion to ourselves during hardships, we can still hold ourselves accountable for the things that we want to accomplish. Pero iba nga lang yung way niya. Instead na paparusahan mo yung sarili mo na, halimbawa, ang dami mong kailangan gawin for a day, 'di ba? And important silang lahat. You really need to finish them. Okay? But the thing is, when you practice self-compassion, you also realize that in a particular day, you only have this much energy, 'di ba, to work on things. So ngayon, papasok dito yung pagiging curious mo. So in a day, realistically, ilan ba talaga yung kaya kong gawin? And that's when you start rearranging the tasks that you have to do. So that's one example. And I hope that I'm getting the point across. 'Di ba? Na at the same time na I'm showing myself compassion by recognizing na I'm feeling tired, I cannot finish this. Pero also allowing na, okay, baka 3 tasks lang yung kaya ko today and then the other task, pwede ko siya ilipat the next day. 'Di ba? It's still holding myself accountable for the things that I have to do. But at the same time, I am showing myself compassion. Instead of binit ko lang yung sarili ko na ano ba naman yan, ang hina-hina mo, di mo matapos yung kailangan mong gawin. Yun naman pala, good for 10 people yung 3 things na kailangan mong gawin. 'Di ba? So yun, what about you, Joyce? What do you think about that?
Gusto ko yung advice mo, Gabby. And for me, siguro, knowing your boundaries din talaga. Kasi it really helps na you know kung ano yung boundaries mo. Kasi it's hard to really, to really work. Kasi, syempre, parang ano na parang normal na sa atin mga Filipinos na overachiever tayo, tapos parang pinagwawalang bahala natin yung feelings natin na, hindi, kaya ko pa to, kaya ko pa yan, ganyan. Na parang kailangan kayanin ko kasi marami pang umaasa sa akin, ganyan, or like maraming nag-expect sa akin. Pero ano rin, parang you should know din kung ano yung boundaries mo na, baka na-overwork mo na yung sarili mo na baka mamaya mag-lead na siya sa burnout. So, ayun, knowing your boundaries would really help.
Yes, I think nasagot mo rin, Joyce, itong second question na should there be boundaries, di ba? So again, it's not completely neglecting what you have to do, but it's showing na there's a more humane way of approaching the things that we have to do so that we can show up fully dun sa mga roles that we have in life. Yan. So I think we have time pa for 2 more questions. Joyce, do you see anything that we can answer? Ayan, parang gusto ko tong, why is it difficult for some people to have self-compassion? So according to research, it's really self-compassion, although it's a skill na you can develop, there are really people who find it difficult to practice this skill. And there are a lot of reasons why. Because yung pagiging self-critical natin, yung pagiging when we hold ourselves to such high standards, or when we compare ourselves to other people, ang daming factors na nagko-contribute kung bakit tayo may ganong klaseng behavior. So it can be internal, pwedeng genetically, 'di ba? May mga tao talaga na they are genetically predisposed na they hold themselves to such high standards, and feeling ko isa ako doon. Kasi talagang when I first heard of self-compassion, this is something that doesn't come naturally to me. And halata siya kasi one of my strengths is a maximizer. And as a maximizer, I always want na dapat the best palagi. Pero, di ba, kung iisipin mo, yung totoong parang balance, the right balance of being a maximizer is also knowing when this is already good enough for the certain moment. So hindi ko pwede palaging ipilit na kailangan maganda siya ng maganda palagi. So it can be your personality, it can also be your upbringing. So these are things na mostly wala kang control. 'Di ba? May mga tao na they were brought up in homes na their parents are constantly parang expecting them to do parang the best. Kailangan number 1 ka palagi sa school. Kailangan or kapalagi kang kino-compare sa ibang tao. So, na-imbibe mo yung ganong behavior, and that's why ikaw din, when you approach life, that's also the same thing that you do. So, that's some of the reasons why it's difficult for some people to have self-compassion. So, we hope that that answered your question. And Joyce, feel free to chime in.
Oh, same lang naman sa sinabi mo, Gabi, na parang malaking part din talaga yung culture natin. Kasi 'di ba parang a lot of us parang tinrain na, "O bakit ka umiiyak? Huwag ka umiyak kasi ganyan." So parang hindi tayo tinrain na parang harapin yung mga emotions natin, yung mga nararamdaman natin, which is why we tend to be hard on ourselves. Kaya parang ang hirap din talaga na maging self-compassion, ang hirap na parang feeling natin kapag tina-try natin gawin yung mga sinabi mo kanina, parang feeling natin ang selfish na natin kasi gano'n tayo pinalaki, gano'n yung culture natin. So, ayun.
Yes. Totoo. Ang gusto ko, feeling ko nakaka-relate kami pareho ni Joyce dun sa mga
Yes.
questions nyo. We really relate a lot. And yun nga, I think the difference from the time before, di ba? Parang ngayon, we're more open to talking about these things. So again, it's showing ourselves that compassion na we were doing the best that we can with what we have. And now that we are learning, sabi nyo nga kanina, learning is really an important part of going through life. So may mga nag-share din, people might resist self-compassion because it violates their personal values or belief systems. Yes, that is also true. And we really, really recognize that. So I think we can do just one more. Okay. Ito ba? If I feel, this is the top voted, if I feel that my manager wasn't mentoring me and mentors only the other colleagues, was it valid if I feel that I am being neglected, or should I assess my feelings, set it aside, and just do the job? I think one of the things na I picked up from John in the positive leadership course is information is power pa din. So you can take a step back. Okay, when you practice self-compassion, you can acknowledge na I feel that I am parang being neglected. Okay? Parang important part of self-compassion is recognizing that you are feeling that way. But you don't stay and wallow in that mindset. Okay? So, it can either be, ang pwede mong gawin, kasama yung pag-a-assess ng feelings mo. So, it's kind a way of parang questioning what made you say na you are not being mentored. Okay? Kasi pwedeng, kaya naman pala na may mentor yung mga colleagues mo kasi sila lumalapit. Tapos nagtatanong sila actively, kaya sila yung name-mentor. Okay, so that's one objective way of looking at it. What made you say that you are not being mentored? And then maybe you can also ask your colleagues, ano yung nagiging experience nila? Parang how do they get mentored by the mentors or your managers in the company? Diba? So that's part of assessing your feelings and basing it in reality. Okay, yun in the present moment eh. We have to really check against reality kung accurate ba, 'di ba? Kung tama ba na ito yung nafi-feel natin dahil ba sa nangyayari sa ngayon. Okay? So I hope na you will just not set it aside and do the job, because mentoring is a very important part of being in a company, and having mentors in the company will really help you as a person. So I hope na you get to reflect on that. First step, acknowledge. And then next step, i-assess mo siya. Why are you feeling that way? Is it really because hindi ka mini-mentor, or baka naman ikaw rin yung hindi nag-ask for that kind of mentorship from them at nag-aantay rin lang pala sila sa'yo? So Joyce, do you want to add anything to that before we close?
Siguro una, i-commend ko muna yung person na to kasi parang alam na niya yung next step na assessing yung feelings niya and setting aside yung ano. So I think that's really being mindful of the situation. And ayun, second, siguro reiterate ko yung sinabi mo, Gabby, na yung being intentional when it comes to mentoring, kasi it really helps to na parang na may mentors tayo, and sometimes we really need to be intentional about it kasi it's about our growth din naman regarding dun sa work natin and sa mga ginagawa natin, kasi baka yun nga, baka naghihintayan lang pala tayo. So it's really nice to be intentional, and you can do it naman na parang gradually kung hindi mo kaya ng biglaan, 'di ba? Parang small steps lang din. So ayun.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joyce. Super agree din ako. And I think Nico also agrees na maglagay ka ng effort to develop a relationship with your boss and manager. But again, hindi mo kailangan i-invalidate yung sarili mo. It's a big step to admit that you feel neglected. And it's something na you can also open, di ba? Na you feel neglected because ito yung nakikita mo. And then that's already a start of a conversation na you can have with either your colleagues or your managers to get a better view of the situation. Yan, so we hope that helped, and we have a lot of questions. Siguro try natin silang sagutin some other time. But for now, we can move on. Ayan, Joyce, do you want to introduce our positive leadership course?
Ayan. So our positive leadership course is one of our flagship courses, and sobrang helpful po nito. I've been here na sa mga runs nito, tech supporting, being behind the scenes. Pero I hope na makita niyo rin yung importance kasi 'di ba parang as part of our self-compassion, 'di ba, we can also be enrolled in courses like this para maging trained pa to become more positive leaders, and at the same time we can also lead others. So ayan, this course po will run from November 18, 23, 25, 29, December 2 and 7. So ayan, 6 sessions po siya from 9 to 12. And ayan, so meron tayong 5,999 per person kapag sa first 10 paid enrollees, and it's also 6,999 sa regular rate niya. And meron din kaming promo na enroll 3 get 1 slot for free. So if gusto nyo and ang mga friends nyo na mag-join, 'di ba? Parang ayain nyo na sila kasi I'm sure marami kayong matututunan for this course.
Yes, and Joyce and I really vouch for Gio, our Chief People Officer. He will be sharing with you best practices in the organization so that you can lead your teams well. Yay, and of course, don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We've released Why Quitting is Also Winning. How do we actually apologize to someone and the grind must stop? So these are really easy to read items, madali silang i-digest, and you can follow us on Facebook para maka-receive din kayo ng mga ganitong updates, and this can really act as your well-being boosters during the week. And we also have our Twitter, LinkedIn pa lang pala, sorry. Follow us also on LinkedIn because we also post our different courses and different content there, as well as our we also have our we're starting our Twitter page, so you can follow us at Positive Workplaces PH over on Twitter so that you can also see our updates. Yeah, so again, thank you everyone. We are now sharing with you the evaluation form in the chat box. You can accomplish that so that you can get your e-certificate, and of course, we love hearing from you. Nakikita nyo naman, di ba, na most of the topics that you see over here are based on your suggestions. We read them, and even yung mga suggestions nyo for speakers, we also incorporate them in our free webinars so that we can bring the best content so that you will really invest in your well-being. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
So I think, so if nag-error, Bianca also sent the longer form. So you can also just answer that. Oh, hold on. So we're going to share with you another link. So can you just please try that? Ito ba yung sinani, Joy?
Yeah.
Ayan.
Working naman yun.